Back on the res, and we're walking home. So it's been a good day, well-rounded day. Here's some people. That's fine. I'm going this way, and yeah, I left that stone there, that sort of quartz geode. I thought, leave it out here. It's where they're home. Respect, you know. And I got a lot of nice messages on the fish and the clay falling, making the letter I. The eagles, the crows that came, beautifully occupied my attention when a somewhat sickly white female was approaching behind me just to look around. That's fine. I'm very sensitive when I'm out here, but and then she eventually, I tried to make eye contact once just to be friendly, but just I look around and then she left, and then she kind of interrupted my ecstatic moment there, but that's all right. I will come back to that place again, and I don't mind seeing people. You know, it's nice to see other creatures moving around, looking around. You know, that's good. You know, it's like someone reading a book that you read that you like. You know, I love that book. If I love that book, then and nature is welcoming other people into that vast story, into this world, then let them read that story. You know, let them read their story today, and let me not be a part of their story. You know, we don't have to be a part of each other's story. Yeah, I do feel a little shock in my body. This particular person shocked me a lot, and it's a way that can creep up on you. It's creepy, you know. And I've learned a lot from being pained. Hey. Two very strong, they probably play soccer or something, running at full speed around this park. Like performing horses. Their heartbeat's probably at normal beat rate. Building their confidence, their facility in the world, sense of purpose, integration of mind, body, a tremendous amount of working out, probably at least play soccer, other sports. Their bodies are completely athletic. Even the fat content of the body. You start thinking about looking at the fat distribution on their body more than even looking like whether they're beautiful or not. They're just like, wow, what an interesting fat distribution. Perfectly formed male, perfectly formed female, nice energy, right? Healthy. Wow, really healthy. Like I couldn't keep up that pace for more than 20 seconds. I'd be out of breath. So it's like their heart must just beat like a fucking pendulum. His name is Icebold, and hers is Reed. Icebold and Reed were running. Somewhat unisex name, but I like that. Reed and Icebold running like horses through the park. I wonder what their libidos are like for doing that. And then like finds like. So obviously he likes to run, she likes to run, and like seeing couples do things together that requires so much discipline. It's like you know, one but two people, a couple doing that, like it's neat. So young and healthy. Like I never was. Oh, not like that. You know, I didn't, well, that's what I would say. I didn't have the chance, but I didn't have the interest either. My sister became quite the jogger, but like everything you did growing up was like what you were doing to survive everything, you know. It was much more momentous because of the household, right? So it's like everything you did, you end up doing quite a bit of. And for me, it was like walking in personal reflection. That's pretty much what I've done my whole life. That was my athletic commission, if you will, you know. And you know, I envy them. I would envy another opportunity to start out in life and have a different set of circumstances around me, you know, and, you know, including the fact that we all approach different circumstances differently. But yeah, it's nice to think that way. You know, it's isn't a completely unhappy thing to think about, because it's just in your imagination anyway. But I think you can just feel like their energy. They'd be bored spending time with me. My mind is actually quite slow and ponderous for all of its agility when I'm speaking to a camera by myself. I'm not the sort of person, as you may have me guess, who relates useful information to other people on a daily or even annual basis. People don't rely on me for my opinion. My mom now and then listens to something I say, usually because I really desperately need her to hear. But for someone who spends their life communicating, nobody listens to me, and I'm kind of protected and safe. It's like my personal Winnebago of personal protection of, nobody depends upon me for my opinion. And so I'm free to conjecture and speculate. No, literally no one. And I don't think I'd feel comfortable if people relied upon my thoughts in that way, but maybe one day. It'd be a very strange thing for me. Intellect is kind of like singing. You can sing to yourself and think you're a really good singer, but it doesn't sound that way to other people. And even thinking, people like to hear thoughts in a certain way. They like to think that you've practiced some point in the world, or not that I have done so admirably, arranging your thoughts in a certain manner so that anyone could understand them. And who knows, maybe everyone could understand them. You could, and what that even means, I don't really, my mind just ends there. I'm a very simple man. I've never really had much use for an audience. In a sense, I think the whole relationship between someone and an audience, the idea of a man standing at the pulpit or behind a lectern and so forth. Oh wow, pulled that metronome. That was what I was thinking of, not the pendulum, the metronome. I pulled that word lectern out of my head. Lectern. I'm the kind of guy that, I'm not really academic, I'm the kind of guy that knows the word lectern. 25 years after quitting college, lectern, yeah. Anyway, so I don't think, sorry, I almost tripped on myself there. I don't think I'm the kind of person who would be comfortable with that. I don't think I ever was. I don't like the setup. I don't like that. I don't know. I don't know how to better it. You would say, well, how do we teach people? It's like, I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't have any alternatives. I should. Maybe I'll think about it now. Let's see. Let people learn by themselves. Yeah, that's one. And let people augment any system of rigorous study with great lapses in such discipline, in some reasonable proportion, for them to kick around by themselves and think what it really means to be a biologist or a chemist. And the trouble, and there's a little bit of trouble with that, is that the more people think, the less they want to do these things. And I'm not trying to be mean. I think if people thought a lot more about what they were doing, they would not do things so much. Good job. If you can smell that nice after jogging around this park, that's pretty good. They are like the healthiest, most sexy couple I've ever seen in my time. I have to not stare at them. Because you just want to look. It's like, you don't even feel like banging her because you're pretty sure he is. And it's like the guy inside you just knows, the alpha is like, she's being banged. It's all right. Someone is doing her justice. And how much fun it must be. And they go for a jog. Maybe they're brother and sister. I don't know. I just think, I don't know anything about sex. It's something that goes on completely foreign to me. I don't know what people do. Someone else would say like, oh yeah, they're banging. It's like, she's going down on him on a regular basis. Like, what? I don't want to know that. Nice young people. But yeah, I just don't know where it fits in. Which is kind of an interesting double entendre. It's like, my mom always told me you wouldn't know what to do if you tried. So maybe that was wrong of her to say that, but it's strangely enough accurate. I guess my mom really did know me. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do to, like, that woman looks like a really nice person. Like, and he looks like a nice person. Like, they might make a fair go at it, right? healthy, like, fuck, I mean, body parts haven't been ripped off by their brother in some sort of pharmaceutical-laced gambit to control the household. It's like, wow, years of lying, denial, and excessive amounts of this, that, or the other, aggression. Their lives, I mean, I wish you better than that, young people. It really does, violence can absorb your life. I think if it hadn't been that, it would have been something else. But I really received a very crushing blow to my body, and I've never fully recovered. And then when I thought I did, my mom did it to me again. And I don't know, like, should I be angry about that? I've had years to sort of deal with it. It's kind of biblical, It's like, no, it's not right. I know it's not right, and I know there's not much I can do about it. Unfortunately, I've lived too long around sexual abuse from women. I probably don't even notice it half the time, sadly enough. And so I see young people like that who have a chance of any life, a healthy life, whatever they do for work, or whatever kind of people they are. Probably not people who would listen to this ever, but I think they'll be pretty good people, and they'll also look at the sky and enjoy the eagle and the wind, enjoy the things that humans often work hard to feel worthy of enjoying. The first fruits of all the wonders we should feel happier and happier entering into as we get older, and not so much with having to instead of happy to and happy to. I have to instead of I'm happy to. Why do you go to school? Because I have to, not because you're happy to. Well, I'm kind of happy to and get to see my friends, except your friends are all banged up with you, right? Do you and your friends ever talk about being banged up in the same school against your will? Probably not suitable discussions for young people. But not for me anyway. I mean, who would be a reputable person to talk about that? Who's reputable to tell young children not to go to school? Who not me. I'm the last person to be a reputable, credible source. Maybe Dr. Phil or Oprah or something. We got something to tell you, America. This ain't our first rodeo, and, well, school's the pits. It's... People would say, well, stick with the satire. That's probably better, but I'd like to study school more. And I think I know already that if you think about it, if you studied school, really studied, like everything from the ground up, that all the thought that's gone into what is a school, and I've learned a bit myself from professors and stuff like that in education, and you just listen, because you meet people throughout your life, and you listen, and you put things together. And if we were to study, what schools do and how they're built, and I already suspect I wouldn't like so much learning about it because I went through it. And, I think it was an okay in elementary school. I would say I would give it like a C+ as a child minding system. It was somewhere to go that I suppose I could tolerate. And maybe I would just say, if you let me out at grade 7, I would say no hard feelings. I'm pretty flexible. Still got a lot of childhood left to go and explore, and you've probably given me a good start in, not being a complete asshole and killing myself, right? Not bad, a little bit more than just wiping your ass, a little reading. Oh. Thought someone came up behind me there. Writing, arithmetic, what have you. Some gym, learning how, to get along with other children, play a little basketball, maybe things your parents can't get around to doing because they're so busy doing other stuff, and a real, just like 7-year daycare system between the age 5 and 12. But then, you should let them go. You should be like an early release program, And a lot of people, say in my mother's generation, quit school, or her grandmother probably left school at grade 7 or was taken out, and in a way, not for that reason alone, but maybe in a way that like school was a bit more of an influencer in the past, where today it's spread out among so many things. Right? Think about what it was to to finish grade 7 or what it was to graduate, if in certain families 100 years ago. And but how, your life can be sort of marginalized by, my mom, I think she got her GED. She mentioned a few times throughout my life, like, oh, I didn't graduate, and I didn't get to graduate with my friends, and she just didn't bother. And I thought, wow, my mom is someone who dropped out of school. That's pretty interesting, because she's done so well in life, and she's so smart. And it's like, it's interesting. And young, good-looking couple. Now, while the other couple was athletic, this couple also puts me to shame. They're good-looking. They've got about $5,000 worth of camera equipment. They're stylishly dressed, West Coast, deep black colors, beautiful. She's modest. She's putting down her head and walking by. He's got ready eye contact, a little bit of portrayal, but that's okay. That's only natural. They're probably not used to the area, and they probably think I look a little weird. You can portrayal, which is a certain amount of fakeness, like please believe me, can also be just routine for people who meet strange people, just because it's not anxiety, it's just, hey, I really hope that, you don't rob me. A little bit in the subconscious level. It's like, hey, and remember, if someone has never seen you and you're a stranger, they're meeting an animal for the first time. And if you're someone who looks a least bit intimidating, I'm seeing spirits. Shit. I felt like I saw a Sasquatch spirit there. If someone's meeting you for the first time, I'm telling myself this. This cures my anxiety about people, because I don't always understand their body language. But they're meeting a stranger, and if you seem the least bit intimidating, and that guy's a strong man, but he's like, he knows he's in an environment he doesn't know, and that's a great way to approach the world. He's got a camera, he's a photographer, so he probably approaches the world with a good deal of modesty, depending on the types of subjects he enjoys. He probably, like her, develops relationships with his subjects. These are multidimensional people, right? Probably going to college or school. And so they're getting accredited adjudication of their work. And they got money to do all this. And again, like the other couple, they have a relationship. They're holding hands, and they're doing this together. And they both have this passion. It's amazing. You really have to envy it, don't you? It's like, shit. But I have to think about that. It's like, it's really nice. It's like, I don't have to travel. It's like a totally different world. And I can't criticize these people at all. Right? They would never listen to my work, but I can't criticize them. I can't criticize their attention to detail and their fashionable dress, their intelligence in life. I really can't. How they survive, what they think and feel. I think they're thinking, feeling people. All these couples I've met, these two couples, I think they're very passionate people. And I should be prepared for the existence of people in the world who aren't like my family and, aren't as cruel. If only because they grew up in poor, cruel circumstances and did really, really well. But if you're someone who needs more than that, I want to be like one of these people. I want it to be more than just your uncle coaches soccer for your cousin. I want, to have a family that, that's not everything in life. And you're not addicted to sports. You got like a well-rounded lifestyle, that attends to what each person is. And if 8 out of 10 people can grow up and live like these people do, I'm in that 2 out of 10, and you may be as well. I just don't live that way. I don't work that way. I need more touch. I need more feeling. It's weird. I'm a child and a man who's never been touched, and yet I needed to be touched. I needed to be touched now and then. Not even out of some deep affection, just the physical contact of other human beings who cared about me and had an interest in my mind, an interest in things. And I've never had that. That changes how your brain works. I don't have any intimacy. I've never held a woman's hand. The only woman's hand who ever held mine was sexually assaulting me at the time, and wanted to rape me. So And there are men, these patterns in their life, you wonder, how the fuck could all this shit happen to you? And I know a homeless man that lives in his car, and he's had a similar pattern. He doesn't realize it, but I talk to these types of people, and it's like, he has a similar pattern. He's had a little more fun with it. I've never had women reaching down my pants and masturbating me at teenage parties, but I didn't go to these places, and now I'm thinking I'm pretty glad I didn't, because I think I'm prone to being attacked. In that way that I've learned that, children who are feeling a little hard done by can be more preyed upon by the unfortunate animal tendencies of some children, perhaps like herds of animals that kind of want to weed out the weakest link, And yet in the human sense, in that weakness, is an incredible courage to just get through the day, whereas for other children, it's easy peasy. And that courage never gets rewarded. And some people who don't look like they're so high achieving are working twice as hard as the people who are. They just never got a chance to get their energy in the right order, right? Ordered energy, ordered intent, the regimen, the support. Think about the supporting structure, that when some architect comes there to get architect or acupuncturist or chiropractor of the year, the supporting cast of people in their lives compared to the homeless guy outside begging for change. And it probably will be a guy, right? It won't be a girl. It'll be a guy, right? Although you can see old women too, and that's not nice either. I don't like that we have homeless. I don't like feeling homeless at all, ever. I don't like how it makes you feel about yourself. The people like this, they've never thought they were homeless. They've never felt homeless. They've always had a safe home. It may not be always a pleasant home, because I'm sure there's discomforts, but a discomfort for any of these people, right, would be nothing for me, right? Or my family, or many other families. But I can't completely put words in their mouth. There are plenty of people who have homes maybe as bad as mine, who do just as well as they do, right? And you could say, oh, damn it, I have no excuse now. And they would say, no, you don't. I knew a man who had 3 legs and 2 testicles, and he did just fine. Wait a second, that was... You squeak when you walk. And there's another couple. Oh, she looks nice. They're younger. There's the cut. We'll keep going. That rain never did come on. What do you know? The guy was wrong. The rain never did come on. Boom. Boom, boom. I have a funny feeling that the people with the couple, I thought they wanted to ask me, to orient themselves a bit, but they didn't. The rain that did come on. Hey, hey. See, in a woman of strength, she put her head down. Modesty is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. See? In a strong, healthy woman, modesty is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. Rich people sometimes can hire people to intimidate people. They're called lawyers. Poor people just do it themselves. And perhaps they're called violent buffoons. I don't know. I know my mom had a problem with some people, and they had a reason to be upset with her. And she thought he was quite rough with her on the phone, and maybe he was, but he kind of had a reason to be. Lawyers had to be involved. I did not wish my mom to be in that situation, but she had created it. It was a perfect example of yin poisoning, because my mom had created a situation through yin poisoning. We could talk about that. And her second husband sacrificed himself to her yin poisoning. And my dad escaped it by basically being pre-yin poisoned by his mother. But, Jack was also pre-yin poisoned. He just didn't live. He was too old. He had a heart attack. My dad had surgery on his intestines when he was 32. It was like, it came, it went. No one really thought about why Dad needed the surgery. People didn't talk about things like that. But he was living with a woman who'd been sexually raped, or just raped, sexually raped, when she was 5 years old. And it really does affect men's intestines. I find that, like my dad, I'm affected by women in my intestinal area. And a woman can give me a stomach ache, a woman can give me diarrhea, a woman can now give me headaches. Their energy, especially if it's violent, sexually related, can drain me, can physically affect me in all kinds of ways. So I have good reasons, really, based on my history and based on the preponderance. Just like, say you had a bad foot and you were prone to sprain it or something. I'm prone to be sexually assaulted. So to see young people and to see the modesty of his girlfriend and the strength that loses nothing of, it was like better than saying hello, to acquaint me with her strength and that she's amply protected by this male and contains her own strength within herself. She's lived in a modest, feminine environment, suitably feminine environment, but lost nothing from that and gained everything. An example of like a non-yin poisoned home. That strength, that modesty, that sense of courtship, they're holding hands, and now her life is going to have an emotionally sound foundation, and does. Now I could criticize if they're professional photographers. I'd look at their photography, and I would be looking, like a lynx, every little subtle negative, positive little bubble I can get from their work, and maybe even just so much. Why did you choose to see the world through a camera lens? Which I earlier today talked about and said, photographs aren't really good for people. Photography can separate people from the environment. Usually when I see people with cameras, I kind of have a little chagrin. These young people, I didn't, because I felt that such a youthful sense of competence about them. I think young people can always bring something new to everything they do, right? And are often quite ready to hear something like what I'm saying, like the camera kind of separates you from the subject. A lot of them would probably be interested in that subject. It's not about stopping you from enjoying photography. It's like, hey, life is about consequences, right? You pick up a camera, you pick up a microscope to look at a little grain of sand. You're not looking at the universe around you, right? You spend life behind a camera, you're not looking at it without the camera, right? You know what I do when this camera loses its battery? I keep talking to it. I just like talking. And I'll hold the camera up when I'm walking down the street because it's kind of like a protective thing. People probably see me often see me talking into my camera, And you may not see a lot of people like that, but I'm a writer, really. I always want to think. I've always got interesting things to think about. I love thinking. If you wanted to stop me thinking, you might as well shoot me. Ooh, I got to do a baby. I need to have a baby. I want to pee-pee on my baby. I want to piss on my baby. What? I want to piss on my baby. Come on, baby. I want to piss on you, my baby. That song didn't really take off in the top 40. I want to piss on my baby. A satire of pop music in general. Hey, my baby, I saw you the other day, and you said maybe, baby, I'll let you take me out one day. And I'm telling you, baby, I've been waiting so long. I wanna look over you, and I take out my schlong, and I wanna piss on you, my baby. I wanna piss on you, my baby. I wanna piss on your face like a big disgrace. And then you're gonna scare the hell out of me. And you say, I like this, baby. I'll piss on you, baby. You'll drink my urine like it's Kool-Aid. I say, you sick freak. You'll say, give me more. I can even take a number 2. Ow. Nature's punishing me. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Okay. I want to crap in your face, baby. If you can take it, I can give it, baby. I can shovel it if you can take it, baby. Here comes the first crap in your face, baby. It's never happened twice. Get the camera going, baby. The first time I crapped in your mother's face. And then I pissed all over it and she washed it off and drank it. Dad, why didn't you just go for the regular cum shot? I don't know. We were artistic and young. We wanted to try something different. something that hadn't been done. Well, mission accomplished. I mean, Jesus. I know, it's not right. That's why you can never tell anyone about this, son. And never try to repeat it with your girlfriend, Daisy. Daisy's like, oh no worries there. I mean, I'm just going to try to wash this entire evening out of my mind when I go home. You do that, Daisy, you do that. And while you are, think about the fact that in place of my scrotum, in 1995, I elected to have a giant black pussy put in its place. Okay, sir, I'm going to go now. All right, Daisy. Sweet dreams. Sweet dreams, sugar. Give me a little bit of sugar, Daisy. A little bit of that little man juice that you be lacking so much. Okay. I think I'll take my man juice in this direction. Oh, all right. Well, that's fine. I just want to take a piss, really. Is there anyone behind me? Nope. What did he say? He said you might be more likely to see bears early in the day, or they generally stay away from times when people are around. Yeah. Old men get to talking sometimes and I think they make shit up. But he told me about the elk. Whew. I'm like, that sounds interesting. I say, maybe we'll be wild. I say, maybe, baby, maybe we'll have a child. And maybe, baby, we'll think that little child should always feel safe in their mind. And do you want to do that, baby? Do you want to care for such a little child in their own mind, baby? Just like inside your own, oh baby. And your feelings and your thoughts, and the forces of the gods, and the pressures of the world, and everything that bought and sold you. Before you were born, they bought and sold you. Before you were born, they bought and sold you. Like the soul in the sky, they bought and sold you. Why would the 3 letters soul be in the word sold? That should be seen as sacrilegious. It's like putting Holocaust into Nabiscus cookies. It would be considered anti-Semitic, right? But Saul and sold. That's an entire culture laid to waste as a mere commodity. What do you think they think of your so-called soul? That it can be bought and sold. That doesn't sound very convincing, does it? But it's because it's not. I'm hot and cold at the same time, so I'm going to keep walking. I just have to take a piss. I want to get up to the tracks. We'll stop up there because I've had enough time by the river. That cold, deep cold energy. Moo boo baby, your mushu is ready soon. Your egg foo young for you for one. Egg foo young for one. Here there. Come now, get your order. Sorry, a little more racism. Oh man, I don't know. One day I'll be alone and entering some Chinese restaurant and I'll say, spit in his bowl. Perhaps I must be forced to imagine the world hates me in return for hating the world. Perhaps that's part of the bargain from hating the world, that the world hates you right back. That sounds like a line from some stupid Shirley MacLaine movie. You know what I figure, Roper? You hate the world and it hates you right back. You love the world and it loves you right back. And you know, Harper, I love this goddamn world. All of it. The war, the pestilence, the hunger, the increptitude, the ineptitude, and the incest. All of that shit. I love that, Roper. You know why? Because when I love it all, it loves me right back. Okay? Thanks, Shirley. Don't call me Shirley. But your name, that's enough now. The angels are coming through. Well, I think I'm in better health now than I was when I started. I got enough going on today. The only thing that's really tired is my voice. I wonder if they take a shower together when they get home. Is that inappropriate? Oh. Yes. 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 You never know. I've known women who don't know how to be mothers. If we, as children, had been left with my mother as a child, my dad really provided the lion end of what made our household even barely passable. His family, essentially, or, well, I don't know if it was always family, but my dad, put the money there. He was more dependable than my mom in some respects. He took a lot of her abuse. And really never even said a bad word about her, strangely enough. But my mom just can't stop talking evil about him. We haven't half a chance, so. But they're two very different people. And they deal with life in two very different ways. In whatever ways there are, they both manage to deliver their share of poison to their children. And it's most regrettable. One wants to grow beyond it, but then one is always living in it. So it's like being a barnacle in the ocean. How do you grow out of an ocean of poison? I now accept, as a matter of fact, that my mom poisoned her own womb multiple times with the intense, if not always deliberate, rage and ill she bore my father. And how my mom's lower extremities would be touched by what happened to her as a child. And that her relationship to men couldn't really possibly be completely normal and healthy. And so my Uncle R didn't just rape my mom, he ended up really raping men. His rape just went through time. And to think that these men, if you want to call them that, live on this earth, or any of us do, and we don't know what this is doing to human beings. To find this out at 50, as the shock kind of works itself out, and now the information comes out, it's like, okay, so this man has been living, on this earth with respect to my mother under totally false pretenses. It's all a deception, but important to note that the effect of this is something that I'm sure he doesn't understand and has never come to understand and would never even appreciate, though he calls himself a man, how this kind of trauma passes through families. And this man was sitting at a table with me ever, with his fucking beard, and filling his face with food, and talking like he knew a thing or two about living. Kind of pisses me off, And to have that kind of thing in your family line is to really make it hard for me to recommend myself to women. Not that I think I would ever hurt someone in that way, but I just clinically have such a great acquaintance and had such a strong intuition as a young man that something was wrong. I think my interest in feminism just very easily, as easily as probably people pick up today, gender fluidity. It just seemed like an interesting place to go. And, but more academic than gender fluidity. I wasn't picking a sexual orientation, just a gender that was important, as I understood it, in understanding my own life. And that something was wrong. And I was right, and there was. And feminism wasn't enough to deal with it at all, but I wasn't ready to deal with it. I was in shock. I don't imagine my siblings are normal people either, completely, or ever will be. And the extent of this effect, and not just, say, in my mother, but what about the other, at least 3 daughters were raped, I suspect. One of them lived. So you got her family line. They're all weird, right? Weird, fucking weird. And then you've got the one sister who's still alive, who, the brother, who was one of the rapists, who died basically of rage and tried to become a Christian. So I suspect the other brother was the ringleader, my Uncle Art, because he's the one that wanted to be a doctor, right? Right? And you know what? He married a woman who was raped by a police officer when she was 15 in broad daylight, who was becoming a psychiatrist, right? So, probably a sapiophile of some kind, but broke up with him, divorced him, about 8 years into the birth of their final child. And the last child took it badly. And you could see, like, on Facebook, he lives a somewhat battered life. You can see that. He's been deeply affected. You can see that it's written all over his face. He's in shock. The older brother, Robbie, is like water off a duck's back to him. But I suspect there's a coldness to him that you would not believe. A deep, deep coldness to him that also helps him survive in the part of the world that he lives in. And there is a relationship between the two. It's actually not too bad. The daughter, you don't see much communication there. She seems to stay out of things. I think probably lives closer to where the mother lives. Has had a few unsuccessful marriages. Difficult. Do they know what their father is? How he gets through the day, how he comes to someone's house, to the children of the woman that he raped when she was 5, and sits at their table and has dinner with them and drinks out of their teacups, dribbling on his fucking beard. A biology teacher, couldn't make it into medical school. A handy sort of guy, built his own house out of stone and seem to be very physically adept, as you would expect. The oldest son of a farmer has the orchards, all that kind of stuff. Ho, 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 a ready laugh, very dry humor, a Christian, And you see that thought disorder in his Christianity. You see in Christianity certain thought disorders about logic. It's like, I've been around Christians who've hurt me, and there's like something doesn't go all the way around. Like the mind needs to go in a circle, just like the stars, because that's how things grow, and that's how thought grows. And it's like their mind does not go in a circle. It doesn't go in a circle. It sort of goes right to the center, and then explodes in a beautiful little starburst that means nothing, like sugar on the back of your brain. It's just like, where did that go? And yet it's just everything to them. And that kind of narcotic denial, and those strangely Iron Age beliefs, and the sacrifice, and the sort of mute way that they can carry all kinds of traumas around with them, like they're just going to fill up their final resting place with them like treasures. They're called the things unsaid. And how they just become like zombies and psychopaths. And if you would look into it more deeply, I don't really care about my Uncle Art as a human being very much, and you can understand why. I'm going to stop here and take a little breaky poo, as we call it in the business. A little breaky poo, and then a little doobity-doobity-doo, which means I'm going to light another joint. And you're going to join me for my joint of marijuana as I think about the endless possibilities of Murder 1. Murder 1 coming to a TV near you.